welcome you to Fall 2011 Masters Economics Orientation. My name is Matt Blum. I've worked with you from the beginning of your interest to where you're sitting at right now. This is very exciting because, as you can see, we have a large incoming class. We expect between 85 and 90 students to begin the program this year, and overall there's about 180 students in the program. In addition, we have about 8 to 10 current students who are going to help out today. After the orientation today, a good resource to have is current students in the program. So if you want to know more information like which professors to take, what's it like, questions about the math requirements, or just general questions about what it's like being a master's student in the program, there's great students here who can help assist you. So I'm going to talk a little about the orientation outline today. First, we're going to hear from the chair of the department, Dr. Isaac Ehrlich, then the director of the master's program, Dr. Winston Chang. Then I'll have the opportunity to talk about the logistics of the program, everything that you need to know. The goal is, by the end of the day or by the end of this period, you will feel more comfortable with the program and you'll be able to ask as many questions. We don't have a timeline, so if we need to stay here till 6:30 and people still have questions, we want to make sure that we address your questions, any questions that you have about the program. I'll also talk a little bit about career planning. Then Professor Tom Levert is going to come in and talk about his practicum courses in the CFA. Then we'll hear from David Lathrop, who is the current president of the Economics Graduate Student Association. And then what I'll do is I'll help students register for classes if they need help. You'll talk to current students, and we have dinner. So we have pizza, wings, drinks, so at least you don't have to cook for yourselves tonight. And for those who haven't had buffalo wings yet, this will be their first time having it. And again, try to save all questions towards the end, but if you have an immediate question, feel free to ask. Also, if your question isn't addressed today and you'd like to talk to Dr. Ehrlich or Dr. Chang or myself, you're welcome to visit us. I'm usually in the office Monday through Friday, and you can make an appointment with Dr. Chang or Dr. Ehrlich. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the chair of the Economics Department, Dr. Isaac Ehrlich. Hello. How are you?
We're delighted to see so many of you around. That's stopped being a surprise for us. Every year, the size of the room becomes smaller, and the size of the class becomes bigger. I have to tell you that this is probably the largest attendance that I have ever seen so far. Congratulations. And I want to congratulate you for a couple of reasons. The first one is that I think you have made the right decision to apply to the MA program at UB, and better yet, be accepted to the program. That's number one. And I'll elaborate a little bit about number one. I think the reason that our program has grown in popularity from the time we started it about 10 years ago is because of what we offered in the program. We really had kind of the first idea of starting a rigorous daytime, stand-alone MA program in economics. This was not very popular in research universities before because the graduate program in most universities consists basically of a PhD program. We started the MA program, and we called it the MA program in Applied Economics, because we realized that there is a demand, implicit demand, a niche in the profession for an independent MA program in economics, essentially as an alternative to an MBA. I'm I'm sure all of you have gone through the decision whether or not to apply to an MBA program or to apply to an economics program. We don't have the time, and I don't want to really impose too much on you to find out from you why it is that you made a decision to apply to an MA program in economics. But there are a few reasons for that. One is that typically MBA programs demand market experience, so that students have to work before they apply to the program. We do not make such a demand. We accept students on the basis of their performance, on the basis of their ability and readiness to take on quite a rigorous program. So that's one reason. The other reason is that we think that in today's information economy, having a better understanding of economic principles, together with understanding of markets and financial markets in particular. I know that this is something that many of you may be fascinated by because this is our most popular concentration, financial economics, that you cannot really understand how markets perform without having a solid grounding in economics. We also have an MS program that I think is a very good introduction to those of you who would like to pursue a PhD in economics, because we give you a very good basis for applying later on to PhD programs in economics, including our own. The importance of understanding the economy is intensifying today because we're going global. The marketplace is really changing. The information economy makes us link with the entire world. It's no longer a single country, as important as we may have been. I know that there's a talk about the decline of the American economy and the growth of other parts of the world. Well, I don't really think that it would be correct to think about it this way. The U.S. economy may be shrinking in GDP relative to the rest of the world, especially because of the growth of China and India and other Asian powers. We're not intimidated by that. We welcome the growth of the Asian economy because this is good for the world. We live in one world. And the principle in economics is that the more we're linked with the world, through free trade, through exchange, through the movement of both products and services and people, the world economy becomes more vigorous, becomes more flourishing. We have to forget what's happening right now in the world economy with all the talk about maybe a next recession in the United States, a double dip, or whatever it is. You can rest assured that growth will continue in the world, and these cyclical things are what economists call cycles. The cycles for a reason. We have ups and downs, and we're probably never going to eliminate the business cycle. What is more important is growth. Growth in productivity, innovation, new ideas. All of that is enhanced by the globalization of the economy, by the information economy. And here in Buffalo, we have another theme for that maybe we have a distinction in it. The growth of human capital. I know many people are intimidated by the word capitalism. It used to be an ideological dispute between East and West. No more. China is more capitalistic than the United States, in practice. Maybe not in the books, but in practice. China experiences capitalism in a larger scale, in some sense, than the U.S. This is no longer an ideological issue. Well, we prefer to think about that as human capitalism. Because growth comes and productivity comes from the advancement of knowledge, advancement of information. That is what we call human capital. And in the Department of Economics at UB, we may be creating some of the distinction in connection with human capital. I'd urge all of you to go on the website of the department and also the website of the Center for Human Capital, because we are creating some distinction in this area. We also now house a new journal in economics called the Journal of Human Capital that is published by the University of Chicago Press, and it's also growing a little bit in impact and importance. The University of Chicago Press, as probably many of you know, does publish some of the most leading journals in economics, and that's part of it. So we have kind of a sense of excitement at UB, and we hope that this is also some distinction that will gradually be felt in all of our graduate programs, MA as well as the PhD. So this is one issue that I want to congratulate you for, and that is, I think, picking the right program. There are many MA programs in other universities springing up these days. But you're coming to the original. Many of them are imitating us. Maybe Matt can tell you a little bit about that, because he did some research and found out that there are other universities in the US that have basically adopted our curriculum. They don't admit it, and we're not going to take them to court. But we are proud of the fact that we have thought about this niche that I call MA program in applied economics. So you have come to the original, and you have to tell this to your colleagues and your friends. This is where it all started. Our program has been adopted by other places, but we are the original. Second reason why I have to congratulate you is I have to tell you that because of the continuous demand for the MA program at Buffalo, we have started restricting admission. We have to be kind of a little more choosy to make sure that we can handle you well. Our interest is in your learning experience. And we would like to make sure that what we give you will be advantageous for you. So we need faculty resources. We need staff resources to be able to handle well the MA program, and we have therefore decided to stop the growth of the program so that we can give you what you deserve to have.
With 72, I think we can
So
cover.
congratulations for applying on time and getting admitted to the program. The next generations probably are going to have to go through a little more rigorous admission. While I'm on the topic, I would like to emphasize what I think are the important strengths of the program, and I'm sure that Dr. Chang will elaborate further on it, because Dr. Chang is the director of the MA program, and he and the MA committee are constantly making efforts to innovate, to be more responsive to student needs, to serve you better. So you ought to take advantage of it and give us feedback about your experience in the program. In fact, I think Matt is arranging, every semester, an event called Meetings with the Chair. And I would encourage many of you who are interested in having some discussion with me about your experience in the program, your aspiration, things that you would like us to be doing, to take advantage of those. My door is also open to you. I am really very busy, but if you want to see me for any reason, I think all you need to do is to tell the secretaries in the department that you want to meet with me, and I'll make time. It may not be immediate, but I'll make time, to get together with you. And I know that Dr. Chang's door is open and Matt is there every day in the trenches, welcoming all of you who want to see them. But again, I think I'd like to emphasize a few things, and then I think my esteemed colleague, Dr. Chang, is going to continue and tell you a little more about this. We think that one of the reasons for the popularity of the program is that we are indeed satisfying an implicit need that exists in the market for people like you. And I would summarize it essentially in the following way. If your orientation is to go to the private market and find a good job, we realize now what employers are looking for when they hire new people, especially in today's economy where they can get more choosy. They want people who can do business research. That makes a huge difference. I mean, I already hit on the topic, on the theme of the knowledge economy. In the knowledge economy, where competition is getting more and more intense and the US companies are going abroad, 40% of the revenues of large US corporations now come from selling abroad. There is a need for constant innovation, constant looking around, finding new products, finding new markets. For that, they need advice from professionals who can actually go to the computer and do some work on the computer. Not just looking for, pictures of nice men and women. That's no longer what's required on the job. It's no longer fuzzy notions of, we just have to know how to wrap up a new program and market it and be successful. They really need knowledge. So by that they mean they have to have people who know how to formulate a question and how to answer a question. Whether or not we should go to a new city with our headquarters or stay in the same place. Do we want to link with a new country in Africa or in Latin America or in Asia? They need people who can actually research the issue. And that means asking the right question, trying to answer it by getting the data that are needed to answer that question, and then applying that data into some econometric scheme that would permit them to get answers to the issue that they're looking for. And I say that essentially because of the fact that we know that, especially in the large corporations, to get admitted today, many of them require you to take a test. It doesn't really matter whether you came from Harvard anymore, where incidentally, the method of teaching is case studies. Many people love case studies. You'll find out that our program is not focused on case studies, as is the case in some other top institutions like Chicago. No case study. Why? In case studies, it's like looking for the solution in yesterday's economy, if there is such a solution. A case study is about a particular event that happened in a particular point in time under different economic conditions. An analytical emphasis teaches you how to think, so that you're not dependent on understanding whether AT&T was the best company yesterday. Has a lot of competition today, right? It's no longer, the giant that it was. Goldman Sachs, well, it was at the head of the financial pyramid in New York City, and now I guess they lost a lot of their flavor for various reasons. There is probably going to be a new Goldman someplace. They'll make an even bigger killing. Maybe it's going to be in China. Who knows? It's the analytical skills that we try to instill in you that are going to be the better protection for your future success. Because you're not going to have to remember, oh, I remember the case study that I learned about company X and how they managed to overcome a particular problem. That company may not exist today. So it's the emphasis on skills. I would urge you to take advantage of it. In other words, take the courses that we require you in the concentration that you're going to choose, but also make sure that you take the courses in the quantitative part of the program. Econometric methods. We offer 5 different courses in econometrics. Not all are required. Take advantage of it, because guess how many econometric courses you get to take in the School of Management at this university? Anybody knows? This is where the skill comes from. So we are less emphasizing breadth of issues. You will need to take a basic accounting course, but you don't have to be accountants in order to graduate our program. Accountancy is a beautiful profession, and it's sometimes very easy with an accounting degree to get to work in a bank, but typically it's in the basement of the pyramid in any university, in any business enterprise. To get to a higher level and a managerial position, economics is a lot more important. That's what that does. So there's a very high rate of return to understanding economics, to know how to apply economics. And this is where I want to leave you all, because I thought we talked too long. Thank you again for coming in. I wish you great success, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Dr. Rudd. Next, I would like to introduce the Director of the Master's Program, Dr. Winston Chang.
See you later. I'll come back.
This isn't part of the presentation.
Thanks, Isaac. Now, you will know why our department has grown so big. You have just heard able chairman, who is the one constantly arguing with the dean for more resources for our department. And we actually are a small department, and we have really devoted much more than a fair share to our 3 programs around PhD, MA, and BA. And so you are really the envious group in the department. Right? First of all, I welcome all of you to be here. Now, many of you, how many of you are from China? Could you raise your hand? How many of you from Taiwan? How many of you from Japan? From other Asian countries? How many of you from South America? North America? Okay. We are really a big MBA program. We have, indeed, we cover over 5 continents, more than 34 countries in China in the past. And this program has grown to be an envious of many other universities, and even other departments in this university are kind of too envious of us, and they protested that we have thrown too much resources from the university to this department. But since we are a success story, we keep on going. But now we are really being clamped down because possibly the next spring we don't have spring admission at the behest of the dean. So we will only possibly have just 4 admissions from now on. That's the first thing, which is a success story. But as you know, the financial crisis, all these things make everybody difficult. Now, I don't want to talk too much about it, our department glorious stuff or achievement. I think what you are most interesting probably would be, what am I going to do now, this year here, or the coming next 2 years? What should I do? And what kind of program should I follow? Which concentration should I take? I think I would like to help you a little bit of concept here for the program we offer. Now, this file actually has all the links, but they are all drawn from our department website. So I advise you to go to, can everyone hear me? Do I need a microphone? No? Okay. Now, you can go to our department website to access different means. I just put them simply together here. Right. So let me go through, with this limited time, some outlines of our program and see what will interest you most, right? And what we should do best for you. So we normally now have different programs. We call the general MA, which is just called MA, and that requires 30 credit hours. Some students may be able to graduate easily within 1 year, 2 semesters. If you take 15 credit hours per semester, then 2 semesters will fulfill this basic MA program, and you can graduate. In addition to some other minor requirements. Right. We have 6 advanced certificates concentration, which in terms of credit hours will be the same as MS, Master of Science, instead of Master of Arts. And they are both MAC, Advanced Certificates, and Master of Science are both 45 credit hours. That means even you take 555, you need 3 semesters minimum. Right? Now, I would advise, if you are taking AC, might as well you take MS, because MS sounds better. Right? And indeed, our MS program is even more rigorous than AC. AC is kind of intermediate for students who would like to be 1 step ahead of MA with some additional skills, and mostly will go to the business world to get jobs. MS is really Master of Science, and by that we mean you may want to really go ahead with advanced studies in PhD programs or in professional schools, right, further degree up. So since the credit hours are the same, if you're staying a same amount of time here, our ACs are there on the books, but now very few students are taking AC programs, and mostly they take MS. Unfortunately, our MS being so rigorous in requirements, we have only 3 categories for MS. Financial economics, which is the largest, over 60 or 70% or 80% of students. Often we would like to get into MA financial or AC financial. The next one is international and micro econometrics. Now in the AC type, we have additional urban regional, right? We have law and regulation, and we have internet economics and information economics and health services. These are the most specialized things, and if you are particularly interested in this kind of subject, then AC is one for you to choose. But if you are interested in, let's say, international economics, I advise you go to MS, or financial, I advise you to go to our MS in financial economics too. So now you see this kind of, can you see the calculator here? Can you see, right? No problem? Okay. We have some other joint degree programs. These are mainly to have some other department students to come to us. But if you have some law programs you had before, or some industrial engineering, right, or that kind of program, you can have this kind of joint degree. Now we also allow the undergraduates, especially our own BA degree in economics, starting from their junior year to start our MA program, because we have a lot of co-gifted courses. The 400 level courses and 500 level courses are often together in one class, but two different course numbers. Right? So we have undergraduate and graduate together, and to accommodate some undergraduates who are taking the same course with same instructor, and allow them to jump into MA later on by converting their 400 level courses into 500, so they can equally get MA degree. This is that course. Now, since you are already the MA, this C doesn't apply to you. Right now, here I want to really warn you. All right, we used to have a spring admission. So the spring semester, we will offer the starter courses like microeconomics 1, macroeconomics 1, and so forth. But now, Dean doesn't allow us to have a spring admission. We cannot offer the spring starter courses. In other words, microeconomics 1 and macro 1, we will not be offered at all, because we will not be admitting new students during that semester. All right? So therefore, I advise you, everyone should take micro 1, macro 1 this semester, because there is nothing available next semester. All right? The reason is this. We have another thing, as you can see later on. We have the comp exam called comprehensive theory exam, micro and macro. In other words, to get the degree from us, you have to pass the two theory exams. One is micro, one is macro. Each exam covers only the first semester content. Like our micro has micro 1, micro 2, but micro 2 is not covered in that comp theory exam. Right? So everybody should take micro 1, macro 1, just for the sake of passing comp exam that's required. All right, so don't forget about that. You have to take that. I advise you. The spring will not be available for that kind of course. Then you have to wait for another year to take micro 1, macro 1. These are required courses. Right? So because of this non-availability of some courses in the spring, I also want to warn you. Suppose, let's say, you want to take a particular concentration of MS in, let's say, microeconometrics, and that I know requires internet economics as a part of the required course. And a course like that, since we don't have too many students asking for it, we don't offer it every semester because of really a small faculty size. We just don't have the luxury to offer that kind of course every year, sometimes every other year. So now if you really want to specialize in that area, you are in trouble. All right? So you can talk to Matt about you are interested in specializing in this, and among the required courses, schedule your own course goals, and see, I plan to take next semester a course. Now, will that be offered or not? Matt has the information. He has the best information among all of us in the department. You can talk to him and say, if that course next semester I have to take to get my particular concentration, will that be offered? Or the following year, suppose you want to stay here for 2 years, next fall, will a course like that be offered? Or even possibly next spring. Now in general, 1 year from now, he cannot answer with definite thing. But by past experience, if we haven't offered a course for a year, mostly we try to offer at least every other year. We only offer very popular courses every semester or every other semester. So make sure you don't get caught with non-availability and you want the degree but just simply cannot. Now in the very worst come to worst case, suppose you want to take econometrics MS, and you have done everything except somehow because of course conflict, time conflict, you cannot take Internet Information Economics. All right. Now, and so you miss that semester. Then maybe only you have to wait for another year to have it. By then you want to watch it already before that. Now, in that case, you can prepare. Talking to that person who normally teaches that course to arrange an independent study. And that has to be justified only because your schedule really has conflict. Okay? And therefore, we will coerce that faculty to have an independent study with you. Because independent study is one-to-one contact. It's very costly, and the faculty doesn't get paid at all. Right? That's all because of faculty's sympathy to you, spending more time with you, one-to-one help. Right? We hope that won't be happening too much because our faculties are really very overloaded. But make sure you already must have a long-term plan that you want, so that you don't get caught. Now, sometimes I know some of you have very good background, or you may have already MA degree somewhere, and you find, well, this micro 1 or micro 1, you have taken that maybe 2 or 3 times elsewhere already, and more important, even possibly same textbooks. Now, in that case, there is really no reason for you to repeat that course here. Right? But that is a required course on our list. So what do? We accommodate you with waiver request. Now, when you do waiver request, you go to math, and there's a form for you to fill out why you request, let's say, micro 1 or econometrics 1 to be waived. You have to supply the documentation, your transcript, your grade, and what the textbook give you, supply the information that will be shuffled to me. I will then evaluate, or MA committee will evaluate. I might refer to the person who teaches that course to say, with that background, do you think this person can be waived of that course? Now, if it is waived, that means you don't have to take that course. All right? We waived it. But your credit number of hours are not reduced. In other words, we waive that course, you have to substitute with another course to make up to 30 credits or 45 credits required. Is that clear? All right. Another thing I want to emphasize here is that we find every year it's heartbroken. I find students really distressed because our graduate school, this university, the grading system between graduates and undergraduates are different. Graduate requires 3.0 GPA, grade point average, to be a good standing student. Undergraduate only 2.0. I don't know why they want to have this distinction, right? This difference. But you must have a 3.0 average to be on our program. Now this is graduate school rule, not our department. So we have no way of avoiding that, all right? So now B is 3.0 in this, A is 4.0. A minus is 3.7. B plus is 3.3. So imagine if you get a C, it's quite tough for you to get an average of B. All right? Just think about it. Do your own math. All right? So what I want to warn you is some students are very ambitious. They want to take 6 courses, 5 courses. All right? And you are not really mentally prepared or some background prepared. You take 5, which is without schooling. 5 automatically you can register. Anything above 5 has to get departmental approval. Right? But routinely many of you will register for 5 and ended up you got a B minus average. That's 2.7. You will be kicked out. All right. So be careful. Huh? Oh, not doing the first Thanks for first semester we give you some excuse. All right. But still that is not good. The reason is this. I want to warn you. Your transcript shouldn't have low grade. When you look for jobs or something, they always look for white students. And the way they can tell is, oh, this student is A minus. Versus another one is B minus. Then the same transcript going to the same company, they weigh your grades. Right? So I think to be cautious, I suggest you should get good grades to start with, so that you can be a good studying student. Now, of course, you're also faced by the financial need. You want to graduate in 1 year because here it's costly to stay 1 more semester. Now, in that case, you should work really doubly hard. Right? So this is my assessment of this 3.0 requirement. And also, a foreign student here must register for minimum of 12 credit hours. If you are not getting TA shift or something, you must register for minimum 12. So that's 4 courses. You don't have too much room, 4 or 5 hours, right? So also we have the comp exams that I mentioned earlier. You must pass them, right, before you can graduate. And you cannot fail more than twice. Cannot fail more than twice. Cannot fail more than 3. Okay, if you fail the 3rd time, you're out. Right? So you can fail the 1st time, the 2nd time, but the 3rd time you fail, you're out. Now, we did have a lot of students in the past failing the 3rd time, and that's a really sad story. They already even found a job but no degree. Right? And so I think you should now put the comp exam as your priority. Right? In other words, you are now taking Micro 1, Macro 1, right? And then our first available comp exam for you, for your cohort, will be in January. And so the first semester, you can take that, you can try the January one. Right? But if you, let's say, for some reason you are not ready or you fail, you can again try in May. Right? And I think for now, we probably will have only 2 exams, hopefully a year. So if you miss the May, then you have to wait until the following January. That's most likely is the outcome. Yeah.
Is there a requirement that when you take both classes, you have to take the exam right away?
So far we don't, but we are still working on the new, because now spring admission will change. We are still working on the new rules with the MA committee. Yeah. All right, so remember, comp exams is a hurdle you must pass. Right? Now, what to do? Let me go quickly here. Okay, many of you, most of you, I think, will just do the MA work and go out to business world to find a job. For reality, that is good. Now, with our MA program being very rigid, very comprehensive, very rigorous, I hope all of you will take a lot of quantitative courses, as Isaac just mentioned to us. Right? We have up to 5 applied courses in econometrics, which is really the strongest, I think, among all other universities. So if you want to go to business world, I think you should be good at computer, good at data mining, data processing, data analysis, right? Those are the things financial world, banks or other multinational corporations, they are very interested in that kind of skill. Right? And I think especially for a lot of foreign students, your comparative advantage will be doing data, doing numbers, instead of dealing with people and something. So naturally, I think this is a very good thing for our MA students to major to be master on the data analysis econometrics. But for ordinary data ability, econometrics 1 and 2 should be about enough, 580, 581. Then the next category, So what you want to do, suppose you want to go into PhD program or other professional program, right? You will have to take the MS. That's what I recommend. Right? Doesn't mean you have to. Many students got MA and then directly jump to PhD to somewhere if they really are good. That's okay too. You don't have to be here for 45 credit hours. But most of us, the students I know, they prefer to stay here for 2-4 years to complete MS degree. Now normally the course load in our department, 45 credit, will be fulfilled in about 3 semesters, right? Or 3 plus a little more, let's say. So you really have a 1 semester, free semester, if you want to stay here for 2 years. And that's normally the case because the new PhD admission usually is the 4th semester. So you know the last spring semester, for instance, that a lot of our students in the past, they are all trying to take other related courses to strengthen their curriculum, to strengthen their background. Right? So I would advise those who want to take PhD courses, you should take more of our concentration field instead of too much into computer and econometrics, because there are so many other interesting fields that will train you to be an economist, right? Health economics, international economics, international finance, industrial organization, money and monetary policy, open economy, macroeconomics, health economics, internet economics, you name it, law and economics, urban economics. I advise you to take more diverse fields. That will make you to be more of a complete economist. And with that kind of background will help you guide what you really want to do research in the future. And don't be too narrow-minded that you are very interested in this now, so you want to do this. Your interest may change because you may meet a professor who is so influential, who is so helpful to get you interested into some subject. And your interest may change. I know some students are really changing their interest over time. Or your original interest may be very strong, but you got killed by a lousy professor. You find that field becomes very lousy. Right? So in any way, you have to really sample more. And I advise you to take more courses, more field courses as possible. Right? So there is a trade-off. How are you going to do? You want to do PhD, you don't want to spend maybe 5 courses in econometrics, because that's too much of weight. Because your opportunity of taking more field courses, maybe you lose sight of these. Right? So you weigh these by yourself, discuss with your friends, and so forth. I know our students, once you need to apply to PhD, maybe at most of 2 years here, you really will have very difficult time because first of all, you need a very strong transcript. Your grades must be good. Right? Secondly, your courses taken must be solid courses. What I mean solid, let's say if you want to do some field, not in the department that is studying Marxian economics, right? You are getting into a reputable department. They require your math sophistication very highly. I advise in that case you should take differential equations, right? Real analysis, right? Linear algebra, probability theory, right? Time series analysis in other departments, even in the math department, not just our own econometrics. Right? Optimal control theory, right? Some of them even get into the topology or something. So if your transcript is very strong technically, and now you want to go into a department that is very highly quantitative, require math, those are the courses that they look at. Not necessarily you get very straight A's, but you take all these very easy courses. Right? So you need to take hardcore courses, and you also need to have good grades. And that means how hard you have to work for this coming couple of years. Right? Now, also I advise you, you must learn to be acquainted with the professors. That you have to have a letter of recommendation when you apply to PhD program. Right? or even job placement, the same thing. You have to keep close to the professor so that the professor knows you. Right? And so the professor has more knowledge about you. When they write the letter of recommendation, they can really speak much more about it. And that counts a lot. Letter of recommendation, your transcript, the substance of the transcript, your GPA, and of course, the graduate record examination, GRE. Those are all must be good quality for you to get into very good graduate school. Now, in the past, our PhD MS students going to PhDs have been very successful. I know even my personal experience, students through my courses or through other courses, they have gone into law school, they have gone into business school PhD program, they have gone, of course, into econ PhD. This year, we have a lot of students going into PhD program, full scholarship in Iowa, in Chicago Circle, in many other schools, Northwestern. They all got PhD full scholarship out of our MA students. So because they have been told to prepare for that route, and so I even now have seen 3 students, because I advised them to take more math courses. They went to math department UB here to take their graduate courses, the MA level courses. They got all A's in those courses taken. Ended up they were admitted by our UB math department as a PhD candidates with full financial aid. Okay. This is really true, our department. And they know our department, we encourage them to take those courses. Right. So suppose, let's say, you want to concentrate in one thing, AC concentration. Now, our department courses are still limited, and you want to really broaden the choices. But where do you go? If you look at our website, every concentration, we add a lot of eligible, approved outside courses for you to choose. Right? And that includes a lot of courses for school management, geography, mathematics department, computer science, engineering, law school, and urban and public policy studies. They have a lot of graduate courses. We virtually look at their course description, and we know, and also our past student recommendation, what courses outside you think are also at our students. So those we approve, you don't need our departmental approval, right? Those are optional courses or part of our recommended courses. You can go ahead and register. But suppose you do find a course not on our approved list, you can apply to math and tell them, I want to take this course, and then our MA committee will look at it, and if we think it's warranted, we will give you the permission. Right? So we are given a lot of flexibility for you. Right? So please remember that. Now, what kind of job or what do you want to do? Right? This is a difficult question. Everybody ultimately will have some job, right? The problem is whether or not you like it or not, whether or not it's worthwhile of that job. It doesn't have to be measured by money. Right? I would say job most likely to suit your interest. That's the important thing. Right? If you don't have interest in doing that kind of thing, that's suffering. Right? So first of all, you should say, what kind of job do I want to do? Then you should ask yourself, what kind of thing you want to do? Okay? And suppose you say, okay, I really want to do financial economics. Right? Then what kind of thing you think you would do better? You want to be a corporate executive, decision making, or marketing, or you want to do economic analysis, or just pure data crunching. Now, if you have already narrowed down a particular area, I suggest you further narrow down by the comparative advantage. In other words, comparative among the competitors, which one do you think relatively you can do better? Okay? And that's international trade, Ricardian theory of comparative advantage. Right? That's where the term dictates what you can survive in the market. Not absolute. It has to be comparative. What I want to request of you is you shouldn't be just a bookworm studying. You should really pay attention to the real world economic development, the news. You come to this country, you now have a broader exposure to the world economy, and you have to really keep abreast of the news. And from the news, you can learn a lot of economics. Coming to this country, don't be just with your group of students from your country speaking your local language and never interact with American students. I think that's no good. Right? You should try to reach out to American students by cultural exchange, learn American culture, learn American economy, learn American political system. Now, if you learn more, you will see how come this country people can criticize the president level. Right? In my country, that boy you will be jailed. And for instance, here a senator can always say U.S. should promote Tibet to be more independent. Then in China, when I was there, I heard the news will say U.S. is interfering in their domestic affairs. Right. That shows how different in culture, in political system. Right. This country, everyone can speak whatever you want. Right. But they don't know. They think that's a political insult to them, invading their independence and so forth. So you have to learn the different culture, different things. Try to learn these things. Read financial journals and so forth. Lastly, I want you to do social networking. Don't be just hiding yourself, study in the cubicle. That's not good, because you will find in the end, a student's job and future often depends upon friends, connections, peer group connections. And Harvard, MIT, how come they are so successful? Because their alumni so strong in this world. They can easily do alumni referral their jobs. Now, it is my ambition someday, we were an alumni data bank. Our alumni, if you are really successful someday, please contribute money to us. We will build our more network. Now, lastly, I cover a little bit of job search. As far as I understand, the university has now outsourced the job search to outsiders. So the UD doesn't really provide individual advisor for MA students. Now, unfortunately, business school has it. Business school, because of the foundation, some family donated money, and there's still student fees. Business school has advisors, specifically for job search, and we are discriminated. But we are not discriminated since no social science, college of art and science department has independent job placement officer. Right? So we are kind of disadvantaged. So what do I suggest? I think you still should go to UD Career Services or Caton Hall. They have a lot of information. Some companies want to recruit people. They still have the data bank, although they don't do that much advice anymore. You should still go there to find out the data, the information, and then the website, right? UD Career Services, even though they don't do too much of individual advice. And also try to make friends with business school students, all right? Because they have the privilege of getting the data supplied by their advisor. You can, I'm sure that still wouldn't mind sharing with you, all right? So we should get you this externality to use their data available. That's my suggestion also. This is the business school family career resource center. The other one, of course, you can go to private internet company like Monster.com. This is the largest for-profit bank, mostly advertised by the employees, which has over 100 million users. The other one is this LinkedIn. How many of you heard about LinkedIn? Would you raise your hand? Okay, now LinkedIn is a professional placement and professional society network. LinkedIn just did the IPO, initial public offering. LinkedIn is the largest professional placement site. But in order to get there, I think you have to pay money. They have to discount free. So some people say, well, they got a lot of inquiries about them. The good thing about LinkedIn is you post your personal resume and data. You also can ask your professor writing letters or recommendation for you to post the letters up there too. Right? So this is mutually very convenient. But there is a problem, because according to the report, even Monster or LinkedIn you post your personal information there, sometimes your information can be hijacked, or can be utilized by someone, and even can result in even identity theft. So there's a trade-off, right? Doesn't mean it's the best, but depending on talk to your friends, if some of them use this, you can try. If you really need it, right? My thinking is still the best. You directly respond to advertisement on the newspaper, Wall Street Journal. You wanting to hire someone, directly write to their personnel office, which probably gets more direct response. Right? Or from friends, from other referrals. Right? There are a lot of, you even can directly write to multinational corporations. I can imagine now a lot of big corporations, they are doing business worldwide, and they need someone with multicultural background like you guys. Some of you can speak 2 or 3 languages. That's exactly what that they want. Right? So you are actually in a very unique position for some of them to hire you. Right? Especially U.S. corporations doing the big business in China. With you now having exposure in the U.S. also, that's an ideal candidate. But when you go back to China, you really know best of the local market compared to sending an American to China. Right. So you are actually in a good position. Another one is like a lot of things at all levels of government, federal, state. Now, federal government is a big employer. Like International Trade Commission has over 10,000 employees. Can you imagine that? That's always trying to study dumping, anti-dumping stuff, right? Against China, against India. Right? There are over 10,000 economists. Department of Commerce also has a lot of economists. One of them, I tell you, we had a previous MA student who graduated from our program, ended up working with the Department of Commerce, was selected to be one of the chief negotiators in trade negotiation with Malaysia on the free trade agreement. I was very happy to know that she got that kind of position. We have also students from law and economics joint degree working with environmental studies in federal government and so forth. There are a lot of NGOs, anyone knows NGO, non-governmental organizations. These are often non-profit organizations. They do need research. They post their opinionated articles. So if you are for cutting pollution, they need some economists to do study to dig out why pollution is so bad. But they need people to do data. They hire a lot of economists. Those are not necessarily highly paid, but can be a very satisfactory job. Congressional Budget Office needs assistance. Federal Reserve Bank research needs assistance. Those are the kind of things you can go to. So I'm sorry I used a lot of time, but I think these are important to you. Use this ability. And lastly, I want to say I normally don't wear so formal. I'm a kind of upward, the only one wearing. We have some other. One more wearing tie. That's why I was the only one. Normally in 1 year, I have probably 2 days wearing tie. One is today, the other one is your graduation. So feel free, I'm a very easy person, so when you come to my office, I don't have tie. Okay. Any questions? Quick question? Yeah. All right. Just leave it there. Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chen.
David. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to introduce Professor Tom LeBert, who's going to talk about his course and the CFA program. Please welcome Professor LeBert.
My name is Tom LeBert, and I teach Economics 588. I've also been employed by Merrill Lynch for the last 30 years, and I am a CFA charter holder. So today, I'm here to talk about the CFA program, talk about how my class incorporates the CFA body of knowledge and what the purpose of it is and what the value of it is. So, has anyone ever heard of the CFA Society? Well, just to give you a background, there's about 150,000 people in my industry that have the CFA designation. And it's worldwide in about 135 nations. CFA stands for Chartered Financial Analyst. They're headquartered in Charlottesville, Virginia. In the United States, they also have offices in London and Hong Kong. So the CFA Institute sets the standards for our industry from a standpoint of what is needed for knowledge and professionalism and integrity to do the jobs in the financial services industry. You'll get copies of all of these slides. You'll also get a copy of the syllabus, so you will see this. There's 131 local CFA Institute societies. There's one here in Buffalo that you may want to look up their website, the Buffalo CFA Society. And they do sponsor luncheons where they'll bring in speakers in our, that have jobs of what we do. They set the ethical and professional standards through their code of ethics. They set the standards of how to report performance on investment accounts. So that's where it's at. Here's their logo. To lead the investment profession globally by setting the highest standards of ethical education and professional excellence. Now, what I found Professor Chang's talk about very fascinating, I caught the tail end of it. And I've worked for Merrill Lynch for 30 years. Well, pretty much my entire adult life, professional life. And you'll be working in some industry, and you will get a job ultimately, and you'll be doing it for a long time. And I absolutely, absolutely love my job. I really love it. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every day of my life have I jumped out of bed and go, yippee, I get to go to work today. It's not every day that that happens. There's many days that it's horrible, gut-wrenching. You could guess with the market recently, although I've become more and more immune to it as I've gotten older. But I love the job, and I have a passion for it. And that's not to say that you should have a passion, you know, you shouldn't share my passion, but you should really, right now in this stage of your life, be looking for what you might have a passion for, because you're going to be doing it for a long time. And if you really love something, the job is so much easier. And, you know, at Merrill Lynch, there's thousands and thousands of employees doing multiple different tasks. There's people on our bond trading desks. There's people on the equity desks. There's people on the mortgage-backed securities desks. There's analysts. There's portfolio managers like myself. So there's a variety of different jobs, and all of these are covered in the CFA program. The CFA, what we have is a principal, a chief investment officer, equity analyst, fixed income. So these are the types of jobs that people have. In our industry, if you're under 40 years old, you either have your CFA or you're getting your CFA. You will, if you're going to get into this job, you will have it. It's just like, if you're going to become an accountant, ultimately you will get that CPA. Do you agree? Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree, but if you need it for your career. And if you're in our industry, if you're under 40, maybe 45 now, you either have it or you're going to get it. Or you're endeavoring to get it. If you're over 45, you probably get passed because you have some experience. They're probably going to, you're probably within 10 to 15 years of retiring anyways. So my advice to you is take a really hard look at this now while you're in the position where your brains are super spongy. Take all the stuff in and memorize it and have the energy to pass these tests. Do it now. Take advantage of it while you're young, because you will have it if you want to be in this field. Some of the, here's a breakdown of companies, mutual fund and investment companies, brokerage, investment banks, investment managers. So there's your breakdown. These slides are a little bit dated, but not too bad. I'm seeing more colleges, college professors, PhDs also having this that teach these classes. I can show you some job postings, but I know what I do is, here's a research report written by David Bianco, Ira, and Dan. David is a U.S. Chief Equity Strategist. And again, not that Professor Cheng mentioned that we shouldn't have money to be a motivator, and he's absolutely correct. I completely agree with that. They can pay you all the money in the world, but if you don't like the job, it's meaningless. But this guy loves his job, and he probably makes $2 million a year. So that's not bad, right? But he's one of about 10 people in the whole United States that is a chief equity strategist for a company as large as ours. But here, he's the guy that runs the top-down approach for Merrill. And he is the one who's going to target the S&P 500's earnings, and he'll make those projections. But we also have people that might be an industry analyst. So here we have David and Kevin, both CFAs. They're responsible for the agricultural and chemical industry, and they follow these companies, Agron, Potash, Mosaic, and they will come up with their buy, sell, or hold opinions, and they will write these reports. Here we have a company analyst, two company analysts, and they are responsible for following Abercrombie and Fitch, and probably about 6 or 7 other companies. And I brought another one here for you, another industry analyst here. So again, you see the consistency. This is just simply on the analyst side. Virtually all portfolio managers, again, are either endeavoring or have the CFA designation. This slide just so you come into a little bit more in the way of what's been in the case of the United Nations. We've got an investment authority. So it has to do with money. Your New York City Office of the Controller. Not controller. Again, stats are a little dated. We've got about 100,000 members when this was written. There's been a significant increase, quite a bit, in Asia, Pacific Rim, increase. Candidate registrations. So, here's the makeup. When I took the test, I took it in 1989. I was, 20 years younger than I am now, which I know how old I am now. I had 3 children. They were all under 5 years old. I was working my tail off at my job, and then I'd come home on weekends, and I would try to study. And it was horrible, okay? It was hard. I had long forgotten about how to do standard deviation, okay? I didn't really care how to do standard deviation because Merrill gave me the numbers. I didn't need it. I forgot all the quant stuff, all right? Again, it was hard with the kids, but somehow I did it. Somehow I passed through hard work and a lot of prayer. And well, what I had as an advantage over you, or what you would have as an advantage over me. So you're in your 20s, I was 30, you're in middle school, you remember standard deviation, I had forgotten it, okay? So you had the advantage on the quant side. Where I had the advantage over you is that I had 8 years experience in the industry. I knew what the questions were talking about. When I saw a question, I could relate it to something I had physically done, you know, mentally done, actually done. So my goal in the class is to try to help you with some of this real world stuff. Try to get really into the nitty gritty of what I do for a living. And try to get you up to speed so that we can beat the 30-year-olds or the 40-year-olds and pass the tests. So that's more or less the goal. You can see significant increase in non-US, male, female is about the same. There's 3 levels to the program. Level 1, knowledge and comprehension of fundamental investment tools and concepts. Level 2 and level 3. Application and analysis focused on asset valuation. Ethical and professional standards are emphasized at every level. All 3 tests are given in June. So you have to pass these tests sequentially. But level 1 gives the exam in December and June. So a person could take the test in December. But my advice is to absolutely not do that. My advice is to try to go, if you can, 3 years in a row, 3 Junes in a row. I believe that level 1 is very important to get the base down and really get it good. Because level 2 and level 3 build on it. I think the way that they come up with what to teach you is very fascinating. It's actually a great, great system. What they do, every 5 years, they send out questionnaires. They're well-structured questionnaires to everybody in our industry that has the CFA designation. So the questionnaires that they send me, more or less is saying, what does it take to do your job? What skills do you need to do your job? And again, they lead you through the process, but I can tell on that survey what is important for someone that we want to come in. And that's sent out throughout the whole, CFA constituents. So the program is relevant to the investment profession because the body of knowledge is based on continual feedback from practicing investment professionals and leading financial academics. So the process begins every 5 years, in which thousands of analysts and portfolio managers participate to develop a list of core topics for the program, and that develops the CFA candidate body of knowledge. And then there is a curriculum committee that selects the materials, and they come up with the exam and they set the minimum passing scores. So super, super relevant to getting a job, and not only getting a job, but doing your job correctly. Then, again, 5-year cycle at this point. So here are the topics in all 3 standards. Ethical and professional standards are covered deeply. Quant, economics, financial reporting, corporate finance. You should have no trouble, I would hope, with the economics part. I think it's really not that. I think the students I've had in the past have had no trouble there. Believe it or not, the hardest area that they have is in the ethical and professional standards. And that's not to say that I have unethical students. It's just that our industry sometimes is not logical. You can't logic out the answers. You have to know the standard, you have to apply it to the situation. So my students have struggled with that in the past. The financial reporting and analysis is very, very hard, very challenging. So I don't know if you've taken any accounting classes, but some basic knowledge of accounting is super important for that. Here's the breakdown. If you could, in level 1, it's more talking about investment tools, and level 3 is more talking about portfolio management. I found level 2 to be the most difficult. Actually, I found level 3 to be the easiest. But that was me. And everyone learns and thinks differently. Now, here's the problem. Pass rates are around 35 to 40%. So they had 38,000 candidates set for the 2007 exam here, and they had about a 40% pass rate. So there's your pass rates for each level. Not too good. So I think what it would take, to pass level 1, if you signed up tomorrow and you took the test first week in June, I don't think you could sign up tomorrow. I don't think the material's ready yet. But it would take about 160 to 180 hours of effort on your part. Okay? And I mean like really studying 180 hours. So you can do the math and figure out, divide how many hours per month you have to put in. And it's self-study. My class will cut that 180 hours down by 20 to 30. I'll save you some time. There's no way you can take my class or take it 3 times and then go in and try to pass level 1. You won't pass. Not without you just hammering it down hard. Here's their website. Like I said, you'll get a copy of it. What does it take to get a charter requirement? Pass the 3 exams. You have 4 years acceptable work experience, and then you need to provide some professional references. But once you pass the 3 exams, you're pretty much home free. I'm not going to guarantee that you can get a job, but the probabilities skyrocket. Even with passing level 1, the probabilities of being hired skyrocket. This is equivalent to getting a master's in finance degree. And I think it's the hardest thing I ever did. But it was more with level 1 and level 2. There's a lot of material. And it's really not super deep. It's like a mile wide and about 1 inch deep. So there's lots of stuff to learn in level 1, lots of topics. And that's why don't try to do it in 3 months. You basically will drop, all right? Do it over 6 months, and it's working. If you fail, you take it again. I think it takes a great deal of stamina, because the tests are 6 hours or 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. And it takes a lot of preparation. Like I said, I think on the quantitative side, you're just not going to have a problem. On the academic side, you're not going to have a problem. On the ethics side, it will be difficult. And that's what I'm, one of the areas that I'll focus on. Okay, now. I'll do this on the work visualizer, but I've got a syllabus. Okay, it'll be in your packet. the book I use, and you can use the 7th edition as long as you're careful on the chapters. If you want to save some money. Again, it'll be in your packet, but the only difference, there's enough similarity between 7th and 8th. I'm all in favor of trying to save money. All right? So that's the book I use. Again, take a look at the syllabus. So what we're gonna do is I start off. Well, this again talks about what we're doing. The main focus here is you're going to be writing a research report on a company. I'll assign the company. There'll probably be 20 that you can pick from. So it'll be a company that I know. So you'll end up writing a research report on a specific company, like a Procter & Gamble. And I don't expect, with 4 weeks of my class, you're not going to have the ability to write an industry standard research report, but you're going to learn about a company and how to value its stock. I assign students to know at any given point in time what the 6-month Treasury bill rate is, the 10-year Treasury note, Fed funds rate, LIBOR, what the S&P index is, what the Dow Jones index is. We talk about what's going on in the market. I generally go over a research report. And during class, I'll start, my class starts at 5, probably for the first 20, 25 minutes. We're talking about what's going on in the marketplace. As long as I'm on track teaching the chapters, I'll spend about 20 minutes on the market. And I'm hoping that you can take some notes, incorporate some of those notes into your research report on your company. But I want you to know, if you're in this class and one of the other teachers comes up to you and says, hey, what did the S&P do today, or what did the Dow do today, I'd like you to know. If you're going to be involved in investing, you should know what's going on today. Again, there's the book. If someone chooses to research this in the next couple of days and decide that you really want to sign up for the CFA program, it's expensive. But if you end up buying the CFA curriculum, if you sign up, they will send you all the books, the body of knowledge, which is far greater than what I can possibly teach in 16 weeks. But if a person bought the curriculum, they don't need to buy the book, because the curriculum is much, much greater, than the book. You read it one. If you take my class, you certainly do not have to register for the exam. You can take the class and learn about what we do. You may make your decision 3 years from now to take the CFA exam. You may take my class and determine that you absolutely hate investing, all right? Which would be a huge victory for you. You can eliminate, say, I don't want to do that. I think that that's a win. Or you might find that, hey, Daniel, I might have some interest. Pretty much, I don't think I'm that hard a teacher. I think I'm relatively easy. The thing that I won't tolerate is any copyright infringement. So probably the hardest thing I'll do it. I never had to do it, but if you happen to buy that CFA curriculum, and any copying of that material, I would look very negatively upon. Here's your core product or core project. High quality company research report, 5 to 8 pages, include a DuPont analysis that we teach. Inclusion of other financial and market ratios is recommended. I give some of the ratios that I'd like to see. And of course, we teach how to do this. Common size income statements, DuPont, cash conversion cycle. So that's what we're going to cover. What I do is kind of start in the middle of the book. I'll start with an introduction, and I'll take a Dell Computer 10K report, and we'll go over that, and I'll show you some of the highlights and what to look for. I'll then assign the company I want you to research. You will then go on the internet and get the 10K to help you write your research report. I then start in the middle of the book, in chapter 10, to talk about the analysis of financial statements. Because I want you to get a little start at what we're looking to do. Then we go back and we start to do the ethics portion, the CFA standards, and that is right online. You can start to look at that right now. You go to the CFA website, they have the candidate readings for the ethics portion. I also have it posted on UB Learn. So we'll go over the standards, and then we start back into the book. Investment setting, security market indexes, security valuation, the midterm exam, stock market evaluation, industry evaluation, company analysis. So we move down, top down. I don't really believe in it, but I'll cover, as much as I hate it, I'll cover technical analysis, charts and all that. I'll show you what people look for. Again, I occasionally will throw my own opinion on stuff, and then if we have time, we'll get into equity portfolio management, professional money management, and some evaluation of portfolio performance. I don't know right now if I'm going to have the students make presentations, present their companies. And we may. There's a huge advantage to that. The disadvantage is it takes time, which cuts some teaching time. The advantage is if you come to class and you listen to your peers present, Procter & Gamble, Disney, Pepsi, and what you're going to do is you're going to learn, there's 23 students in the class, you're going to learn about 23 companies. All right? And if you're in our industry, on the equity side, if you're a portfolio manager, on the top of your head, you're going to know about 300 to 400 companies. You're going to know what they do and a little bit about them. And this will start you on your way to at least learning, about 23 or 24 companies. I only allow 5 to 8 minutes for the presentation. Again, if you've got 30 people in class, it does chew up a lot of time. But I find that to be very, very valuable, not only for the person presenting, but also for the people listening to the report. In our industry, whether you're do what I do, whether you're a security analyst, whether you're David Bianco, whomever, there's a 100% chance you will be asked to present. You will always do public speaking in our job. I don't want to say always. I'm sure there's some accountant that squirreled away in a little, desk crunching numbers. But every single morning, 6 or 7 analysts are at Merrill, on our little TV, direct broadcast in New York, and talking about their companies. Like that beverage manager, that beverage analyst might get up, and it'll be on our computer screens, and he or she is making a presentation in New York about their company. So that's about it for what I have. Does anybody have any questions? Or yeah, I'm going to stick around, especially since I see Doc's and the pizza.
Tom's going to stick around. We're just going to get through 2 more things, and then everybody can eat. But let's thank Tom. Okay, next, I would like to introduce the president of the Economics Graduate Student Association, David Laker.
The food's here, so I'll be quick. I just want to tell you a little bit about EGSA. What EGSA does is it provides discounted events or free events for students. They'll be all semester long, and you'll receive information about them from that room's regular emails. Our first event is on September 2nd. It's a barbecue. It's free. So I invite you all to come. It's a great place to network and meet students who are already in our program. If you have questions about classes or teachers or even comp exams, you can talk to them and get information on that. Also, we have a couple of open positions in ESA. We're looking for a treasurer, a senator, and some alternate senators. If any of you have been in student government before and are interested in that, come talk to me. I'll be around afterwards. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, David. If I can have current students help give, anybody who's a current student can help provide this out to new students. Everybody gets one. I'll probably go about 10-15 minutes, and then we can have food. Dr. Cheng covered a lot. The outside cover is just a subscription to the Wall Street Journal in case you're interested. It's not mandatory by any means that you get a subscription, but it's probably good to consider it. But the department doesn't get involved in that. The information for the subscription is right there. Most of you are already familiar with the economics website, as well as the website for current student information. Anything that's in the packet is already online. So you're not missing anything. I just take the information and I try to put it together on the first day in case some of you haven't seen it. Some students, and this really applies to domestic students who just graduated either in June or September, need to get their transcripts to me. If you're an international student, then you submit your final transcripts directly to the International Admissions Office. If you have questions about the transcripts, please see me afterwards. Also, please make sure that when you first came in, if you want to hold up the sign-in sheet, if you didn't sign one of those sign-in sheets, then I don't have the correct email address for you, so please make sure I have the correct email address. Adding and dropping courses. Next Monday is the first day of class. There's a new policy. There's a shortened time period. You have until Tuesday, September 6th to add courses. You have until Saturday, September 3rd to drop courses. If you have any questions about the calendar of the policies of when the add drop period is, I want to show you in your brochure. I copied a page. It looks like this. It's also online as well, but it looks like this. This is important. This is the deadlines that you have to adhere to. So please look, I printed out the August and the September calendars for you. It's towards the end. I'll wait till everybody's there. Basically, it's just the deadlines. If you have specific billing questions, the department doesn't handle it directly. You need to talk to the Student Response Center, and they're located at 232 Capon. I'm just going to do a quick overview of the MA Economics program. It's 30 credits. You have your 5 core courses, and then you have 5 elective classes. Those 5 electives, out of those 5 elective classes, 2 of them can be outside of the department. They do not have to be from outside of the department. Now you're probably asking yourself, what kind of classes count towards outside of the department? And that I'll show you. It's also in your packet. It looks like this. It says, list at the top, it says the list of approved outside. It's towards the beginning. Again, this is also online, so don't worry if you don't see it right now, but these are a list of courses that you can use outside of the department. Okay? Now, you might be able to register online in the new hub system for certain courses. Management classes in particular need to fill out a special form, and I'll show you what that looks like. I included it in your packet. It looks like this. This is called the Petition for Course Credit Outside of Your Primary Academic Career. What this means, if you sign up for a class outside the economics department, you need to bring this form to the instructor. And that instructor, after you get it signed by them, you have to turn it into the department. So an example would be, is if I want to register for a management class, I go to the management class, I have the professor sign, and then I bring it to the management office. So you can see it says required signatures, student, and then course instructor, and then you have to bring it to the actual department. If you have questions about that, just let me know. Then we have the MA program plus the advanced certificate. So that's the 5 core courses that we talked about here, plus the 5 elective classes that we mentioned here, plus the concentration that you need to do. So, in your course packet, there's an outline you'll see towards the beginning. This is an example. It says MA and Advanced Certificate in Financial Economics. So it lists down the MA program, plus these are the courses that you need for your advanced certificate. And also has suggested electives to take. On the other side, you have International Economics. On the next page, the Advanced Certificate in International Economics. You're not going to find the other 4 concentrations. They are online, they're just not in the packet because those aren't as popular as these 2. If you have questions on the requirements for any of the advanced certificates, come ask me. Why should you consider doing the advanced certificate? To be frank, it just gives you more classes and more skill set to bolster your resume when you're applying for positions. Do you need to declare your intent to do a concentration? The answer is no. So for example, if you plan on doing the MA and the advanced certificate, you don't have to apply again. All you have to do is take the courses that are required both for the MA and the advanced certificate. Can you do 2 concentrations? The answer is yes. For example, if you wanted to do the MA plus advanced certificate in financial plus another advanced certificate in international, you need a minimum number of 60 credits. You can't share classes towards 2 advanced certificates. They have to be unique. So it would be a minimum. So it would be 30 plus 15 plus 15. That's very rare. There's not too many people who do that. Now the overview of the MS program. The MS is 7 core classes as opposed to 5. There's 3 tracks for the MS program. What I've done is I've included the MS Financial. It's in your packet. I'll show you. At the top, it'll say MS Financial Economics course selection. And on the opposite side, you'll see the MS and International. Dr. Chang mentioned before about the MS Micro Applied Econometric track. That will need, you will need consultation with Dr. Chang and I if you plan on doing that track. So if you're thinking about doing that, please let us know. Another point is that if you start the MA program and want to switch to the MS, or you start the MS program or switch to the MA, you can do that. If you're not sure right now what you want to do, my suggestion is set your first semester up to pursue the MS program, because there are certain courses that you need in your first semester for the MS program. You can later decide to do the MA, but if you're unsure right now, my suggestion would be to follow the MS program. A lot of people ask, is it better to do the MS or MA? The answer is one degree is not necessarily better than the other. And what I mean by that is it depends what you want to do after you finish this program. What I advise students to do is assess the skills that are necessary for the types of jobs you're looking for after you complete the degree. So if you see a position for a financial analyst and there's certain courses that you need that are quantitative in nature, you might want to pursue the MS. If you're just looking for a job that only requires the skills of the MA program, then maybe you want to do the MA. What if you're not sure right now? My suggestion is to talk to faculty, talk to people like Professor Levert, and ask them what kind of skills are needed in the workplace to be marketable. Also, network with faculty, network with other students, and talk to each other. Basically, follow the program that best meets the skill set you're looking to obtain. When you write your resume, you're identifying the skills the position is posting. So if a position is posting strong quantitative skills, your resume needs to address those strong quantitative skills. Otherwise, you won't even get an interview for the type of position that you're looking for. What classes should you take your first semester? We strongly advise 505 and 507 your first semester. Again, because Dr. Chang also mentioned, you no longer have spring admission. So everybody in here, unless they get a waiver from 505 or 507, really should be taking 505, 507 in fall semester. I mentioned before, how do you register for management? It's it's the petition form that I just mentioned. How many classes can you take per semester? Technically, in the UB system, you can register for 6 classes. We do not advise 6 classes. We advise no more than 5 classes. Another question, how do you know how many classes you should take? During the first week of the semester, you need to go to different classes and assess what the workload is going to be like. Because I can't tell you how many classes to take. I can't evaluate what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. The only way you're going to assess how many classes to take is by going to the classes and talking to the professors. Now, as I mentioned before we had 2 weeks to decide what classes to add and what classes to drop. That time period has been shortened to 1 week. So you kind of have to really get as much information as possible in order to make informed decisions. I can help you figure out if you take 4 classes how it's going to affect you, or 5 classes. But I can't tell anybody how many classes to take. That's a decision that you need to make on your own. How many classes can you take outside of the department? For the MA, you can take 2 approved classes. And for the MS, it's 3. And again, when can you add and drop? The last day to add is September 6th. The last day to drop without penalty is September 3rd. Dr. Chang mentioned the comprehensive exam. It's now proposed to offer only 2 times a year, and you still only have 3 times per section. Nobody in here can take this, what would probably be the last September exam. The earliest you can take it would be January 2012. Internships. Internships are not required for the program. If you choose to do an internship, they can only be applied to the advanced certificate. Even if you're not using your internship towards your degree out of the 30 or 45 credits, you can still pursue the internship. If you have specific questions about that, please see me afterwards. Another thing to mention is what's called independent study. Independent study is not required. It's like an elective. So in other words, if you're interested in doing some type of research that maybe a faculty member has an interest in, then you can work with that professor, not necessarily on their research, although it could be, but on a project or research that interests you. And I'll talk about that afterwards for anybody who's interested. Course waivers, Dr. Chang mentioned, you have to fill out a form if you want a waiver. If you are waived from micro or macro, 505 or 507, you are still responsible for the comp exam. So nobody's exempt from the comp exam. Everybody must take it. whether you take 505 and 507 or whether you don't take it. Another point, even if you are approved for a waiver, you still have to take 30 or 45 credits. So if you get a waiver from a class, it doesn't mean you take from 30 to 27 or 45 to 42. It just means you take an elective in place of the required class. The only thing you waive are required classes. You don't waive electives, because electives you elect to take. Required classes you must take. I mentioned before we have the Econometrics 1 waiver exam, which will be given Friday, September 2nd at 3 o'clock. There'll be plenty of time for the barbecue, so you can take the exam and then come to the barbecue. Don't worry. If you're interested in taking the exam, you'll need to email me. If you want to waive Econometrics 2, you need to see Dr. Avankar directly. Application to candidacy, none of you are graduating in January 2012. Well, I just bring up the point that when I send out listserv messages, there are important deadlines that you need to meet. And it's imperative that you submit materials to me in a timely fashion. As long as you don't ignore my emails, you'll be fine. Graduate school policies and procedures. It looks like this. This graduate school policies and procedures. These are the rules and regulations of graduate school. Now I understand it's 18 pages and you probably don't want to read through it. That's understandable. However, you need to take responsibility for your own actions at the university. So these are the rules and the policies that govern the graduate school and govern the department. So it's very important to be familiar with them. Some people don't read it, but you have to understand it's your responsibility to understand the rules and policies. Degree conferrals, you graduate 3 times a year in either February, June, or September. And then there's something called certification full-time status, which means if you're an international student, you need to be taking at least 12 credits a semester, up until the point of when you might be able to go part-time if you have one requirement left or if you have a comp exam. But it doesn't apply to anybody right now because this is your first semester. I'm not going to talk much about academic integrity, but I want you to know we promote high academic standards. If you fall under if you are faced with violating academic policies and procedures, you can be dismissed from the university and a permanent record can be placed on your account. This is the grading system at the university. We have an A through F system. Some people might be familiar with the 0 through 100. This is our grading policy. As Dr. Chang also mentioned, a 3.80 GPA must be maintained throughout the program in order to graduate. So your next question is, what if I don't get a 3.0 during my first semester? You'll be placed on probation. If you don't get a 3.0 again, you might have an extended probation, or you might be dismissed from the program depending upon your circumstances. I won't get much into the incomplete grades because that's between you and the professor. Calculus, as I mentioned, we expect a 1-year working knowledge for our MA students, and the students who are in the MS must have it. But most of you fall into, already have taken it and well past math courses anyway. Undergraduate courses cannot be used towards the master's degree. But I know that sometimes people have interest in taking an undergraduate course. For example, we have students who take undergraduate math courses to supplement their applications to PhD programs. Sometimes we have students who want to take another language, like some students take Chinese, for example. Even though it doesn't count towards their graduate degree, they still want to take the class out of interest. Also, English Language Institute courses. Some of our students want to improve their English abilities. That's fine, but these courses cannot be used towards their master's degree. A few logistical items. Mailboxes are in 426 Bronze Act. You'll be given not a personal mailbox, an academic mailbox, meaning if you need to leave exams for somebody or if you want to exchange a book with somebody, leave those materials there. What the mailbox is not for is your personal mail. So no bills to the department, no personal items or anything like that because the department can't take responsibility for your personal items. We also have a lounge which is right across the hall from me. It's open every day where you'll find the mailboxes, refrigerator, and photocopier. Put food in your own risk. Nobody steals food, but we're not going to be responsible for anybody's food anyway. Listserv. The only way really for me to communicate with everybody is that I have your correct email address. You're already probably familiar with some of the mail that I sent to you during the summer and before orientation. That's what listserv messages look like. I usually send a weekly mail, tell you what's going on, and what items you need to be apprised of. Please don't ignore the messages. It's your responsibility to read them. If you tell me 3 weeks later that you didn't read the message, and there's important forms that are due, I can't help you. That's the only way for me to communicate with you. I'm not going to go too much into career planning, but I just want to mention a couple things. One, assessing the type of skills that are required for the jobs, or if you're looking to do a PhD program, you should start contacting PhD admission officers and ask them what's important. Because if they tell you that certain math courses are what they're looking for, then you can take those math courses while you're in the program. Certain math courses at the graduate level do count towards the economics program. I wanted to mention that. Also, it's your responsibility to find your own employment. What can we do? Well, as Dr. Che mentioned, the networking process, talking to professors, going to career resources, and joining EGSA and professional student organizations. Some other things, we mentioned the skills, doing research, and start doing resume building. Stop by the Career Services office to start working on your resume. Don't wait until you're starting to find a job to start preparing your resume. Improving your communication skills, both written and verbal, highly important in the workplace. There's a number of career workshop sessions that occur on campus. I will email about that, but there's also a central place listing of workshops, and I'll send you the link for that during the first couple weeks. Academics are important, but you also want to get a lot out of your experience while you're in Buffalo. So you want to make the best of the area, make the most of the UB facilities that we have. We're a large university with a great deal of resources. I also want to mention the employment opportunities. Some of you need to find jobs. It's important to you to help subsidize the cost of university. There is an on-campus job fair and a part-time job fair, which happens during the first 2 weeks of school. Once I have more information, I'll email that. I highly encourage you. These are the places where most of our students find on-campus jobs. The libraries, food service, tutoring, and computer technology. And I enclose the links right there. Attending department and EGSA-sponsored events, studies, and that's about it. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to have pizza and wings. I'm also going to have, if people have questions about registration, if they have problems registering, or if they have general questions, I will stay as long as I can. If current students, again, can raise their hand, look to find a hand. You guys back there? Current students? Is anybody back there? Okay? Please ask these people because they're going to be your best resource. These are the people that go in the classes. I don't take classes. I can only advise you. So please utilize them. And I wish everybody the best of success. If you need help, please contact me. If you want to open the pizza and the wings, we have plenty of food. Tom is here to answer any questions that you have, and that's about it. So grab food, talk to everybody, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.